So, g'day people, this is take 2 of the 2018 coins you get from the newspaper. So in the background, I have the 2017, 2016 and 2015 coin lot. So you can get 4 different types from the News Corp newspapers. And here I have all of the coins, so all the coin sets there. And this ran from, I think, 27th October to yesterday. So yesterday was Remembrance Day. So it is the actual armistice, which is just like a pause in the war that basically ended the First World War. So that was just the armistice between Germany and its enemies like United Kingdom, France, Germany, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Serbia, Romania, and many other countries. Now, before this time, Russia had dropped out of the war because of the civil war in 1917, and the Ottoman empires, or Turkey, Bulgaria, and Austria had already agreed to armistice. But the end of the First World War didn't occur until the Treaty of Versailles in 1920, and that treaty was just a problem bullshit treaty because it blamed Germany for starting of the First World War, which it actually did not do, and it actually, what I believe, it directly led to the anger of the Germans and their degeneration into nationalism, which ended in World War One and World War Two starting. So let's not get into the politics. Everyone has their different opinions. That's just mine. So the first one is Unity. So I'll show on this, and it has 2 Australian soldiers. So it looks like Indigenous soldiers. So if you don't know, Australian, it looks like it's actually damaged underneath. Damn, that would have been damaged at the mint, or whoever packed these coins. And that's a pity. So anyway, so Australian Armed Forces, so he's an Indigenous Aboriginal Australian. I'm not too sure what ethnic group he was, but if it has his name, you could probably look him up. Doesn't look like. So, and generally, Australia at that time was a pretty racist society. You could say, no, it's not, but it bloody was. I think the last Aboriginal massacre happened in 1920. So, Aboriginals are still treated like crap at this point. So, I'm just wondering why they would have joined the army. There must have been some exceptional reasons why. But if you're Indigenous and you have Indigenous people who have actually joined the army at this time, I'd actually like to know why they actually wanted to join. So here we have knowledge. So to be in the army, you need knowledge. So you need to be able to get intelligence of the enemy, the surroundings, and be able to put that knowledge together and use it to your advantage. So looks like some information, well, something's been dropped by parachute. It's probably like maps, supplies, intelligence, ammunition, so various things. So that is the 20-cent coin. It actually has a man running through a field with the plane dropping supplies or whatever. The next one, confidence. So confidence in knowing what you are doing. So if you're confident, then you're convinced that what you're doing is right. So, person in a trench with a rifle firing. And here we have people in the trenches. Okay, Trooper William Billy Singh of 5th Light Horse Regiment was a Chinese Australian. He served in the Australian Army during the First World War. Okay, so he would have been well respected by Australian soldiers despite his ethnic background. But when he come back to Australia, that would have been a different thing, because when you're in the army, you rely on each other to survive. But when you come back to a racist society. Obviously, that's changed now. We do have a lot of different ethnic groups. Like my wife is Chinese, my sister-in-law is Aboriginal. So I personally have no problem with people with different ethnic groups. So I base people on who they are. So curiosity. So here we go. A lot of people joined up to the army just to be curious around the world. I would say Australia was racist back then, but most people, individuals, or at least half of them, probably not racist overtly. And they were just curious to find out how people lived around the world in different places. And that's a major catalyst for why people actually joined the army during the First World War, because 417,000 men volunteered. There were also women to very, very less degrees. And not only were they attracted by adventure, but they were probably attracted because of their health facilities, and also if they were unemployed, just to have a job, because they had no dole back then, so they actually could get no money off the government. Honest. So if you're in the army, you need to be honest to yourself, and to others, because if trust breaks down, then unity breaks down, which that was the unity. The first coin actually was unity, and you really need that. So here's looks like a person surveying what? I don't know what that has to do with honesty. I suppose you have to be honest in what you find. And here's some more information at the back. So Charles Bean was a historian, so sacred records. So he just kept records of Australian troops during the First World War. And here we have another one, patriotic. So someone who's a patriot loves their country because of what it does. Someone who's a nationalist loves the country despite what it does. So those on the far left and the far right, if they're in power, they love their country despite what it does. But me, myself, I like my country because because of what it does. So it doesn't go around. Well, there are some exceptions now, like Menace and Nehru, but we won't get into politics. But generally, my country likes to help other countries. Except our involvement in Iraq, but let's let it go. So, patriot. I would say I'm a patriot. So, if I know someone's we're committing war crimes, I'd actually speak up about it, because why would I not? Okay, resourcefulness. So, in the times of extreme difficulty, you need to know how to use the resources of your environment. So, here's two soldiers in a trench. And to not get their heads blown off, they used a mirror as a lookout. So it would bounce off that mirror, go down here, and they'd actually see. Then they could fire. So if there's any enemy soldiers, they would actually be able to use the rifle to shoot them, which is a bit bad actually, a bit sad. But it's just the way things were then. So here we have devoted. So this is a nurse being devoted to a patient. Nurses are very important in healthcare. Doctors diagnose. Doctors generally diagnose and initially fix up the patient, and then nurses take over and make sure that they get healed and an infection doesn't occur, and they're actually very important these days. Back then they were just in the early stages, but these are the real heroes, doctors and nurses, because they're very important to our current society. Not sportsmen, actors and whatever else who really, they provide entertainment, that's about it. So enduring, so you need to be able to endure mentally and physically difficult conditions. So it's, have a look at that. See, you see the background of the trench, all the lines probably caused by water seeping down. So that's actually very good detail. Two soldiers sitting in the trench, and here's the no man's land up the top. So these coins are actually better than the previous years because they include a lot more detail. And as you can see here, 2018. On the reverse, enduring. So that's Anzac Cove in Gallipoli. And Gallipoli is very important to Australia, New Zealand, as well as Turkey. Probably less important to the British and that. But as it was a major engagement area for Australians. Okay, discipline. You need a disciplined army to be able to fight effectively. If you read the histories, like the Athenian invasion of Sicily, the reason why the Athenians lost was that they were disciplined, but then they lost the discipline that they had, and they become disorganized, and they just virtually tried to flee. And then majority of them were captured, and some of them were sold as slaves. Others were executed, especially the leaders. So you need to be disciplined. So if you're retreating, you need to retreat orderly. So an orderly retreat, so you don't all get massacred. So here you go. Yep, Belgian border. So this time, most of Belgium was overrun by the Germans. So brave, you need to be brave. So 64 Australians got awarded the Victoria Cross, which is in there. And here's a soldier who's on the back, and that's King George V, awarding him the bravery. And it's given to areas of exceptional gallantry. And just you do something exceptional, like you capture an enemy position by yourself, or you hold off a larger number of attacking soldiers by yourself, or you even sometimes give your life to save soldiers that are in dire straits. No, not dire straits, not the band. I don't like the band. So here we have what's his name? Corporal Snowy Howell. He fought one-man action at Bellecourt in May 1970, holding off the enemy with bombs and bayonets until he was severely wounded. Okay, so, and the battalion saw that, and they recommended him for the Victoria Cross, which King George V actually gave to him. So, also during loyalty, so you need to be loyal to yourself. And here we have people of the Red Cross being loyal to their soldiers and sending them packages. And, well, in the army you need to be loyal to each other. And loyal to your country. So independence, you also need to act independently as well as a group, depending on the situation. So if you see something that, like if you do something, an action that can benefit your soldiers, your side of the war, then you should act on it, as long as it doesn't bring disaster to your fellow soldiers. This is just my take on it. If you have a different take, I'd like to know, and leave a comment down below. I'll make a video that explains it in more detail. So here we have the AFC, Australian Flying Corps, which is the predecessor of the RAAF, Royal Australian Air Force. So that's not that different. It has, does that have the names? No, it doesn't. Okay, first training wing in England. Okay, the last two, we have decisive. So if you make a decision, you have to be decisive. So in the heat of battle, it doesn't matter if it's in war, it could be in any. All this applies to anything. Like, if you need to make a decision, you need to make it, and you need to stick to it. Of course, you need to be also, you need to be able to be mellow, so you need to be able to change your decision if the previous decision is no longer good for the current environment. But you still need to be decisive. So there you go, and you can read that if you'd like. And the last one is daring. So this is the charge of the Light Brigade of Beersheba. So at the time, Australian light horsemen, they were essentially infantry on horses to move around, so they were more mobile than just normal infantry, and they could get to places fairly fast. But at this time, the Turks thought that they would actually hop off their horses and charge the town on foot, but instead they actually charged the town on their horses. A few horses got killed, a few men got killed, very few soldiers actually on both sides got killed. A large majority of Turkish soldiers in the town got caught. That's from what I have read. And there's also a famous movie called The Charge of the Light Brigade, which is an Australian movie. It's actually quite a good movie. And it's probably a little bit embellished, but it actually catalogues this story here. And Australians played a large part in the liberation of Palestine from Turkish troops. And here we have the troops moving off. So that actually looks like, see, it looks like you got soldiers coming this way, you got infantry going that way. Okay, maybe they captured troops, Turkish troops moving in one direction, then you got infantry moving up in the other one. So anyway, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching my video. I have links down below to a blog, to my eBay store, to Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat as well. And please give this video a thumbs up if you like these commemorative coins, and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. So I'd like to say thank you very much, and have an awesome coin collecting time, people. Bye bye.